Hi, YouTube community. This is the first time I've ever gone live on YouTube, so I will tell you that I feel a little bit out of place and a little bit nervous, but I didn't want to just do a normal video and post it. I just wanted to show up and be present for you, how I am right now in this moment. I've thought lately in the last few days about doing videos a couple times a week, just very short videos to check in with you and for you to check in with me. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. For you to check in with me as we're navigating this really difficult time. And I wanted it to be more of a live setting because I think we're all living this together. And I don't want to sugarcoat things with this idea of here's how I am and here's how everything goes. Let's post this and let's be done with it. So I just wanted to share with you a little bit about where I'm at today, and I also wanted to definitely field some of your questions probably later and not right here during the broadcast. Again, I'm a little bit nervous about the live platform on YouTube, so but mainly I just needed the connection and I wanted to connect with you. And I feel like if I'm feeling this way, then you and I, because I've been out there on social media and I'm doing live fireside chats through my nonprofit, I feel that connection with people in the OC community, but I'm still feeling super lonely and I'm still feeling very scared and uncertain. Not necessarily about the coronavirus, and I know that might sound weird, but just OCD wise, I've just lived with uncertainty for so long. It's kind of like, hey, what's going on in the world is kind of every day in my head for the last 30 something years. So it's interesting to see everybody else panicking when we have spent so many years having to panic in silence and have our brains on fire. Um, and kind of still be who we are with as much finesse as we possibly in grace as we possibly can. So it's been hard for me to watch what's going on, kind of the pandemonium and the panic and people almost taking on compulsive behavior and that being so normalized when, as you and I both know, we and experiencing OCD, living with intrusive thoughts that seem really irrational, and then we're doing compulsions, even if they're in our mind, we have to keep them hidden. And now it's so acceptable. I'm having a bit of an issue reconciling that and knowing how I feel or where I fit in. So, anyway, I just wanted to share with you today how I'm feeling in regards to what's been going on in the last couple of weeks. I am still getting emails from people, which is awesome, talking about their feelings about COVID and a lot of emails about how people aren't feeling impacted by it, but that it's exacerbating their OCD themes even more. I want you to know that I feel that too. Like I said before, I don't have any sort of fears about coronavirus. I obviously want to follow what the CDC and my government is telling me to do here in Colorado, but I don't have exacerbated OCD fears and am doing compulsions around whether I get it or not. I've dealt with uncertainty enough to know, I might get it, I might not. My husband might get it, he might not. We might die, and that's a reality, and that would suck. But at the same time, I also understand pushing into that uncertainty and trying to be as normal as I can in an unprecedented time where we don't even understand what normal might be anymore. So wanted to share with you today how I feel and also some of the things I'm going to try to do to help connect our community. I started all of this off a few weeks ago. I had my nonprofit OCD Game Changers, which you can see there we go, up there. I'm using this new really cool streaming thing called StreamYard. It's so awesome. And you can put your logo up there. So I've been doing videos for OCD Game Changers. That's why it's there. But when this all first started, I had just done this big event, OC Game Changers event here in Denver, and there was just some whispers of coronavirus here and there. So I literally is one of those those people that was just like, oh my God, I don't want to hear about it. Like I have a big event, just shut it. And it's awful because I wasn't taking it seriously, but I didn't have any reason to take it seriously then. And so it was very much this will pass, it will be fine. And then we had the event. It was amazing. From what I understand, no one got the coronavirus from the event. So I'm not responsible for killing people, which my OCD did try to latch onto a little bit. Like, how many people wouldn't it be ironic if an OCD event was responsible for the Colorado pandemic and killed a bunch of people? My OCD loved that one for a little bit, but it was about 3 or 4 days after. Stuart Ralph from the OCD Stories stayed with us and hung out before he went home. And as soon as he went home, I went back on kind of social media and back trying to get back to normal. And that's when I started seeing that everything was hitting the fan. And then all these things started closing. And I just saw a comment actually with the how's Colorado doing. Interestingly enough, Colorado is taking it seriously and there's a stay-at-home order, but apparently Coloradans are like, whatever, herd immunity, because they're everywhere. People are out everywhere. And I don't know if it's because it's an active state. Luckily, when I go out, and I do go out every day, go out meaning like I go to trailheads and I hike or I run or I do what I need to do to get exercise in because that's important for my mental health. I do see people gathering and being together, which I don't know if they'll crack down on that. I don't really know what's going on. But quickly after finding out that things were really serious, I had trouble connecting to any sort of anxiety toward the illness. So I'm hoping you'll understand what I'm saying here. Where I would normally take things super serious in my brain when it comes to, if you don't do this, then that, I wasn't latching on to that very much. In fact, my main concerns were what is going to happen to the economy. There's talk of shutting everything down. There's talk of shutting restaurants down, things like that. In fact, the next Friday, I went to my favorite sushi restaurant in Denver and met one of my really good friends. And we were talking about the economy, and my brain was saying, it will never get like that. It will never get to that point. And sure enough, a week later, I couldn't have gone to my favorite sushi restaurant, and that scared me. So I focused back on and then I did a video here. It's on my YouTube channel, kind of the whole, okay, I'm just addressing this because people are asking me, but I didn't know what was really going on. And I didn't know what my authentic response was to it, which I found that to be true for a lot of advocates for OCD. It was kind of this, oh, we're supposed to be responding, but we don't know how to respond because we don't know how to feel about this. And a lot of it was, we don't have anxiety about it. We're more anxious about things that are irrational, right? Because OCD. So when that happened and the realization hit that my entire state was shutting down, probably 2 weeks ago, week and a half, probably 2 weeks ago. And all of a sudden on social media, there was just this influx of people shaming everybody for, if you don't stay home, you're killing people, which of course, y'all, for OCD, that is the most, people don't know, and I'm giving them a pass because they don't know, but it's the worst possible thing that you can say to people who have OCD. If you don't do this here, or if you do this, here's the result. It's action or else, which is our issue, right? It's an irrational response to something. Now, I am fully aware that a rational response to this is, please, let's not spread this infection. 100%. Let's make sure we're not doing that and be smart about that. But the whole shaming people on the internet, especially in regards to people being very sad, angry, and disappointed that their livelihoods might be taken away. Their businesses might shut down forever. People can't just, with a business, go for 3 or 4 weeks without income. It's just economically not feasible. For people who've never owned a business, you may not understand that. I did own a business during the recession and I lost it because of the recession. So I get it on a deeper level. But that's what was so hard for me. As you know, we, with OCD and with mental illness, we live with a lot of shame, and we feel shame from a societal perspective a lot. And mainly we internalize it because people don't know better what they say. You know how it is when people say, I'm so OCD, which I know we've heard a lot in these last few weeks. My OCD is coming out. Oh, look, I need to be, it's just, but we feel that shame from a societal perspective. And it's hard. I was meeting with a client earlier and I loved what she said. She said, um, my response to shame is going to be anger, so it can override the feeling of shame. And I loved that because I feel the same way. And so that's how I've been feeling recently, is watching this uptick in shame for what people are trying to do just in the midst of having an emotional response to a time in our life that's unprecedented and we don't know how to navigate it, which is equals uncertainty, which, as we all know, as a community who live with OCD, uncertainty is the bane of our existence, right? We want certainty. We want it to be either this way or this way, and anything in the middle is scary. And so now to witness a society and people, my neighbors or my friends on social media, all of a sudden using the tool of shame to drive that uncertainty or perpetuate people who are feeling specific ways, mainly because they can't predict certainty, has been really, really hard for me. And I have gone back and forth on, and like this, them pulling out of that, like gone back and forth on feeling uncertain, or I'm sorry, shame for feeling that way. So it's this volley match in my head of like, you shouldn't feel shame. You shouldn't. So I get angry over here when I feel shame and I'm like, I hate everybody. And then I get over here and I'm like, yeah, but what if you're on the wrong, you're on the wrong side of this and yada, yada, yada. And what if people die? And so I go back and forth until about, I guess it was last week when I did fireside chats, which you're more than welcome if you're on Facebook, go to my OCD Game Changers page. And I've been doing fireside chats. I've done 8 of them so far. They're all leaders in our community. And it's really just talking about how we're responding to this. And it wasn't until last week that I realized it's okay to feel both. It's okay to feel sad for people who are living or may experience coronavirus. And it's okay to feel sad for people who are going to really lose their livelihood because of this, because of the economic downfall. That was comforting to me, but it's day to day. Some days I feel okay. In full transparency, my husband lost his job because of this. He was furloughed without pay. And so that's when it really became real to me. It was last week. And I just thought, I guess when it's not crawling across your lawn and beating on your door, it doesn't feel as real. It doesn't feel, it's easier to take the stance of, I want life to be normal. I don't understand. But now it's impacted my family. And reconciling that has been scary and oftentimes feels really selfish because of society saying that only you have to only resonate with people who are going to get coronavirus, which I just don't agree with. Lots of people are going to suffer and lots of people are suffering. And so, I don't know. These are just my feelings on how I'm responding to this. As far as OCD, like I said before, myself and most of my clients who I'm meeting with don't necessarily have the focus on the coronavirus unless it's a lot of it is I saw a meme or something that said, and when you're in treatment for OCD, your therapist would respond to you of, if you don't wash your hands, you would kill your dad. Like, that's irrational and that's bizarre. And now all of a sudden the government is telling us, if you don't wash your hands, you might kill your dad. And it's like, oh my God, that's so triggering so many people now, and they may feel like that was correct, from the beginning. So it's really just a weird time and a weird way to know how to feel. And so that actually is just the wrap up message that I have for you today. It's hard to know how to feel in what we're going through, and it's hard to know where OCD's place is in all of this, because I'm sure it's trying to push through the door in any way that it can. If all of a sudden you feel an uptick in your symptoms, that's so not uncommon. It's even if you felt like you had things under control, in any degree of uncertainty, in any change, in any loss, which we are experiencing, this is a change in our collective lives. And there's a loss of security, there's a loss of understanding what life used to be, and now it's going to be a new norm. OCD just takes that opportunity and jumps in and goes, oh, okay, well, remember that time that you thought you were a pedophile? Boom, here you go again. Or remember that time you thought you were gay? Or remember that time you thought that you were straight? Or what, whatever it's going to latch onto, it is going to take that opportunity. So my suggestion would be, as we navigate through this, be ready for OCD to come knocking on the door. And as hard as it is, make sure to make room for it, because this is a time where understanding how to exist with OCD, being there and being okay with it, is going to be really, it's going to be that for a lot of us. OCD has shown up for me too in these last couple of weeks in weird, bizarre ways. I mean, things I haven't thought about for years. And all of a sudden, here I am in the throes of like, okay, am I going to have sex with my dog? I mean, like, I'm stuck home with him all day, and like I look over and get a groinal. I'm like, how is this even possible? But when I haven't felt things like that in so long, and all of a sudden, well, there's been a change, and OCD is just looking for a way to latch onto that. So OCD is going to show up. My other message, it's okay to feel however you feel through this. I actually was trying to post something on Instagram. It wouldn't let me earlier. I'm at Pureocracy on Instagram, which was, if you're not worried about the coronavirus and you're worried about your OCD fears, you're not selfish and you're not alone. If you are worried about the coronavirus and it latched onto OCD, you're not selfish and you're not alone. It's okay to not know how you feel, and no, there's no right or wrong way to get through this. I wanted to come on here today and make sure that you knew that you're not alone, because the loss of human connection, I feel like I want to go into a video on this maybe in a couple days. I want to try to come on live here in the next few weeks as we're going through this kind of isolation period. But all of a sudden being thrown into being in a house with your spouse, and maybe you have ROCD, and so that's exacerbated, or a house with your kids and you have POCD, and all of a sudden that's exacerbated, or a house with anyone and you have harm thoughts, and now instead of being able to get out of the house in your normal routine, you're stuck all day. My heart goes out to you. I empathize with you. You're there. We know you're there, and you're not alone with that. So I'll talk a lot more about that the next time I go live. But for now, just wanted to tell you that I'm here. I'm with you through this. I have no idea how the appropriate and right response is, so I'm just trying to feel it every day. But I wanted to try to show up for you today. And let you know that we'll walk through this together. I'll do what I can to come on here and be live and just help remind you that whatever you're experiencing with OCD through this unprecedented time is okay, and that there is still hope, and recovery is absolutely possible. So with that said, I also wanted to let you know that I am interested in running some groups in the next couple weeks, because a lot of people right now, mental health kind of goes by the wayside if your survival comes into play when it comes to economics. So I am still offering peer support one-on-one, but I would love to offer some drop-in groups for people and they're going to be more along the lines of a copay. So, $25, $30 and once, a couple times a week. So we can connect and remember that we have that human connection and that we're not alone. So if you're interested in that, please head over to my website at christyhodges.com and send me a message through there, and I'll go ahead and get a running list, and we'll get those groups started here pretty soon. So anyway, wherever you are in the world right now, I hope that you are feeling safe. I hope that you are feeling and surviving and getting through this the best way that you know how. The loss of human connection, I know, is hard, even if human connection was hard at the get-go. But I'm with you here. I'm feeling this with you, and I just wanted you to know that being part of this community, you being here is really special to me, and I hope it's special to everybody else. And that I will probably try to go live again this weekend or maybe early next week and just connect with you again. So thank you for being here, and thank you for all the support, and thank you for being someone in the world living with OCD and anxiety, knowing you get it, knowing that we're all not alone, and knowing that we can walk through this together. Thanks for being here.